Welcome back, Focus Learners. In today's explainer, we are diving into something absolutely wild. We're looking at a macro vision that is quite literally shifting the boundaries of what's geographically and economically possible. We're talking about how Egypt is aggressively transforming its arid, unforgiving deserts into thriving agricultural and urban centers. What you're going to see today is a masterclass in interconnected development. It's like a giant puzzle where massive agricultural reclamation creates a need for groundbreaking soil science, which in turn fuels a massive urban boom. So here is the ultimate question. How do you grow food and build thriving cities in salty, barren sand? Picture this, you're looking out at a landscape of harsh, toxic sand. It honestly seems like an impossible challenge, right? How do you take an environment that actively fights life and turn it into a green engine that not only grows food, but actually supports entire new cities? The dramatic tension here is very real. We aren't just talking about a little light landscaping. We're talking about sheer engineering and technological triumphs that conquer nature's absolute harshest extremes. The stakes, honestly, couldn't be clearer. On one hand, you have the harsh reality of places like the El Magrata Desert. Barren sand, extreme winds, and toxic salinity that literally shocks plant roots to death. And on the other hand, we have the new Delta Vision. We're talking about millions of acres of lush, fertile lands and the thriving urban ecosystems required to support sustainable growth. It's a night-and-day transformation. To make sense of it all, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by exploring the new Delta megaproject, then we'll look at how they're beating extreme desert salinity and exactly how Han soil technology works. From there, we'll cover the economic benefits for farmers, Sadat City's urban renaissance, and finally wrap up with Spire Mall as a totally unique hub. Let's jump right into Part 1, the new Delta megaproject, also known as Egypt's Project of the Century. And trust me, that title is earned, because this goes way beyond just planting a few seeds. The sheer scale of this is staggering. We're talking about 2.2 million acres of agricultural land being reclaimed right in the heart of the Western Desert. But remember, this doesn't exist in a vacuum. When you combine this with the 2 million acres currently being cultivated in areas like Tashka, East Oinot, the New Valley, and Sinai, Egypt is targeting a massive 4 million total acres. The ultimate goal here? To drastically raise the country's agricultural self-sufficiency and heavily increase exports to bring in foreign currency. Now, to water 2.2 million acres of desert, you need nothing short of a miracle of engineering. Just listen to this quote from Dr. Baha El-Ghanam, the executive director of the Future of Egypt Agency. He says the length of their water networks equals the distance between Egypt and New York. To pull this off, the Future of Egypt Agency literally reversed the flow of fresh water that used to just dump into the Mediterranean Sea. They redirected it along with treated agricultural drainage water, pushing it through surface networks and pumping stations spanning over 150 kilometers. It's basically a massive man-made circulatory system bringing the desert back to life. And, where water flows, economies grow. The new Delta project isn't just about food. It's a massive economic engine. It is projected to create 2 million direct job opportunities. That is a colossal new workforce. And think about it, 2 million workers, plus engineers and foreign experts, they require serious new urban infrastructure. They need places to live, eat, and spend their time. That brings us to Part 2, beating extreme desert salinity, specifically focusing on the battle for El Magra. This is where farmers are fighting a daily, grueling battle against the sand. Let's look at the actual numbers to see what they're up against. Normal water salinity for farming tops out around 3,000 parts per million. But down in El Magra, farmers like Mahmoud Barakat, who manages a 600-acre farm, are dealing with well water that hits 8,500 to a highly toxic 11,000 ppm. At these levels, traditional farming is basically impossible. The soil contains clay that traps the toxic sodium right at the root of the plant, which causes severe root shock and, inevitably, death. So, how do you beat that? Well, there is a very clear scientific procedure for installing an effective farming system in these arid zones. Step 1 is utilizing those redirected agricultural drainage water networks we just talked about. Step 2 is rigorous lab testing of the specific soil to find out exactly how much toxic sodium is present. Step 3 is applying a highly customized soil treatment. And finally, Step 4 is planting highly resilient crops, specifically focusing on things like olives and palm trees, which happen to be perfectly suited for this global olive-growing belt. And that customized soil treatment, that leads us perfectly into Part 3, how Han's soil works. I like to think of this as a microscopic rescue mission sent directly into the dirt to neutralize that high soil salinity. Okay, to understand the pure genius of Han's soil, we really need to understand a metric called SAR, or sodium absorption ratio. Basically, it measures toxic sodium against helpful calcium and magnesium. A high SAR means your plant roots go into shock and die. So what Han's soil does is it chemically bonds custom, highly specific ratios of calcium and magnesium directly into the soil. This physically isolates the harmful sodium, effectively lowering the SAR. So even when it rains, which normally pushes that trapped surface salt right down into the vulnerable roots, the sodium is already neutralized and isolated. The roots stay completely safe.
The data here is just staggering. In traditional desert farming, water retention is terribly low because of high evaporation. But Han's soil technology boosts water retention capacity to between 280% and a massive 425%. They actually achieved that 425% figure in the extreme heat of Kuwait. Because the soil holds so much moisture, farmers see a 57% to 60% reduction in their irrigation needs. And let's be real, in an arid zone, saving 60% of your water isn't just an improvement, it is literally the difference between survival and total failure.
Let's move on to part 4, economic benefits for farmers. We've talked about the science, but what does this microscopic chemistry actually mean for the farmer's wallet and the long-term economic sustainability of the entire region?
The economic benefits are actually deeply integrated into the service itself. Han's soil doesn't just sell you a bag of dirt and wish you luck. They offer free, customized chemical mixing based exactly on a farm's specific salinity levels. Plus, they provide continuous yearly technical support. They're out there testing the soil for root rot, fungi, and potassium levels long after the initial sale. They even offer guaranteed compensation if the crop fails due to the product. And this isn't just theoretical. The technology has proven success internationally. They successfully rehabilitated high salinity soil in Mykonos and the Olympic Stadium in Greece. And incredibly, their work at the St. Monastery in Cyprus resulted in olive yields that are producing award-winning, region-leading olive oil today.
Now, let's zoom back out to the macro level for part 5, Sadat City's urban renaissance. Reclaiming millions of acres naturally triggers a massive urban chain reaction. After decades of neglect, Sadat City is suddenly being thrust into the spotlight to house this booming new workforce.
You might be wondering, why Sadat City? Well, it is a massive industrial stronghold that's rapidly attracting global business. And because of its strategic location right near the sheer scale of the new agricultural zones, like the New Delta, it's naturally becoming a hub for foreign agricultural experts, engineers, and international investors who all need a base of operations. Crucially, it's also an educational powerhouse. It's home to a 500-acre campus for Sadat University and the Sadat National University, which brings in thousands of students, including a huge number of international students from the Gulf.
All that development needs infrastructure, which brings us to part 6, Spire Mall, a totally unique hub driven by the Al-Heji Group's vision in Sadat City. Chairman Dr. Sharif Azmi and his partners looked at this booming area, recognized a massive void for high-end services, and swooped in to fill it.
So Spire Mall isn't just your average shopping center. It is a 10,000 square meter mixed-use ecosystem. It is perfectly positioned with a double-face view. One side faces the massive residential sprawl of the city, and the other side directly faces those two major universities. As you can see, it houses commercial retail, administrative offices, and fully equipped medical clinics. But the absolute most unique slice of this pie? It features Sadat City's very first private sector luxury hotel, specifically designed to house those visiting foreign experts and investors we talked about.
The hotel sector features 58 fully finished luxury rooms. And what's cool is they have completely private entrances, so they are isolated entirely from the noise of the commercial mall. The building itself is practically a fortress of modern tech. They're utilizing AI-driven early warning fire safety systems, complete with emergency water tanks designed to last 4 hours instead of the standard 2. They've got advanced VRFD elevator tech with speed inverters for perfectly smooth rides. And to top the whole thing off, literally, there's a panoramic roof restaurant soaring 15 to 20 meters high, offering spectacular views right over the sprawling green university campuses.
But you know what's truly astonishing? The timeline. The developers are running a massive fast-track construction schedule. They are using top-tier materials like steel to avoid market fluctuations, and they are operating as if 7 different projects are running simultaneously. While the target delivery was originally 2 to 3 years, they expect to finish the entire concrete structure in just 6 months, with full turnkey delivery to owners in an unprecedented 1.5 years.
And get this, the Al Hedry Group's commitment to this urban renaissance doesn't even stop with Spire Mall. They've already announced that their continued investment in the Sadat City Strip will include upcoming mega projects like Regency Mall and Style Mall, seamlessly blending commercial hubs with future residential compounds. They are absolutely all in on this city.
We've covered a ton today. We zoomed from a 4 million acre agricultural revolution down to the microscopic bonding of calcium and sodium, and then back out to the high-tech AI elevators of luxury desert real estate. It is an incredible, interconnected ecosystem of human ingenuity. So I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. If this level of precise engineering and smart urban planning can successfully turn toxic, salty sand into a booming green ecosystem, what exactly does the future hold for the world's remaining deserts? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today. Keep asking the big questions, and I will catch you on the next explainer.